Chinese cartoonist, Wu Qilin released a
Seen his stuff.
new illustration to condemn #Japan's dumping of nuclear contaminated water into the sea. #Fukushima from the 24th, 2023. The beast of sin started to unleash its wrath against all mankind. Man, they're really building this up, aren't they?
Let's make it a super explain it like I'm 5 thing, right?
Well, let's just show this little thing you put together earlier. China releases 100,000 of trillions of nuclear waste becquerels per year, the most in the world.
It's actually, I have no idea. It might not even be the most in the world. This is a satire.
Yeah, exactly.
The point is that they used a propaganda cartoon or a piece of art to make a false statement.
Yes.
You can do that with whatever you want.
Absolutely.
But if this goes around instead of the original, it would be very funny.
It would be funny if this happened to be spread more than their original one.
It would kind of like negate the purpose.
Here's the thing. What's going on, and we discussed this on the Monday show slightly, is... Well, before we get into this, a quick overview is the Fukushima accident happened. We all know about it. Terrible incident. And, what we ended up with was a bunch of contaminated water.
Yes.
That's been stored and treated now for 12 plus years.
Yeah.
Okay. In order to get it to a safe level to release it into the sea. Now, of course, I'm completely against this. I'm against releasing any kind of contaminated water into the sea, but this is within safe levels from an entire international body that has been monitoring this from the get-go.
Unlike China, who has they do have like some international people, especially from France, that come over and monitor things. I do have a little insight in this.
Yeah.
The level of cooperation is dismal.
Yes.
I knew somebody personally whose father worked in this plant that we're going to show you that we actually saw. Mm-hmm. And the team that visited was not allowed back to a certain area, and they were appalled at the level of quality control that was going into what they were doing.
Yeah.
Whereas Japan is very transparent. Everyone knows about what happened, and they invited all of the international body to come help.
Correct.
That's the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I did a whole video about the cracks that were forming on the nuclear, power plant in China, in southern China, and it's bad. Okay, the quality control. And look, spoiler here: China releases a lot of nuclear contaminated water, a lot more than Japan ever will. But here's the thing: what you're seeing behind us right now is panic salt buying. Wow. This is sorry. I mean, you got to hear the chaos. What are you talking about? Is now. Anyway, here's the thing. This is happening right now in China, right now, as we speak, right?
By the salt. So what happened? This happened before.
This is all salt in these boxes, by the way.
Yeah, so what happened is some rumors went around, and they said, you're probably asking, why salt, right? Basically, when the Fukushima thing happened, these rumors went around in China, and there was 2 things. One group of people were saying if you consume a lot of iodine, then it will deflect against radioactive waste.
Yeah.
So basically, when Fukushima went down...
Yeah. By the way, just to prove that we were here, that's you. I was filming you. And that is
waving to some locals for some reason.
Exactly. And there's the Daiwan nuclear power plant in China. Isn't that a lovely scene? I always love this scene. Just look at the beautiful sky. You know what I mean?
Oh, chef's French kiss.
And we swam in that water.
We did, and it glows.
Yeah, it does at night. But I think that's bioluminescent algae.
Hey, you never know.
I don't think it's nuclear contamination causing that. But just to say, when we talk about stuff, guys, we talk from experience, okay? Because we were there. Okay?
Yeah, we've swum in those waters many times.
We filmed that. Yeah. And the amount of nuclear contaminated, as they call it, water that comes out of that plant is far worse than what they're releasing.
Oh, well, I'll get into the figures in a little bit. If we go back to salt.
Yeah, let's go back to salt.
Let's assault on your senses because it was so loud.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
So what happened was, originally when this happened, people started panic buying salt. The iodine is supposed to protect you against the radiation. And then on the other hand, it was that there's not going to be salt anymore because we get all our salt from the sea, and the seawater is contaminated, so we can't get salt out of it anymore.
Yeah.
China being next to Japan.
Yeah, so that's the whole point, is they're thinking that there's going to be a shortage of salt and you won't be able to buy salt anymore.
Yes, but they did huge campaigns the first time this happened. They're like, stop buying salt. I mean, a bag of salt was going for hundreds of dollars at some point.
Yeah.
People were like, putting out bodies of, scientific bodies to say, listen, no, this salt is fine. We domestically produce salt. It has nothing to do with Japan. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Even though it didn't affect the salt at all. Right?
No.
But the people still did it. I had family members that were panic buying salt and trying to eat a ton of salt too.
Yeah,
and I'm like, guys, you're going to die from the salt. People actually probably did die
Yeah,
of
I'm
salt.
pretty sure they did. I wonder if there's going to be a die-go situation where people are buying up salt in America and Australia.
Ding, ding, ding. I can already prove that.
Okay.
There were people trying to tell their daughters and sons, quite close to us, in Canada to buy a bunch of salt.
Okay.
Not only for themselves, to send
back to China,
because of this huge panic buying. So yes, you called that one.
Yeah, I mean, that's how they make profit every time there's something like this. Remember with the PPE, where they bought out all of the masks and hand sanitizer and everything from the local pharmacies in America, for instance, to send back to China during the pandemic. And it was awful because the local people didn't have access to masks that they needed.
Yeah.
And hand sanitizer. And
yeah,
stuff.
that was a bad one.
Yeah, and it pissed me off a lot. I made a video about that.
Yeah.
And
you're in me off as well.
yeah, that's what's probably going to happen with salt soon. But salt's very heavy, so I think the shipping fees are going to be quite tough.
Yeah, what's funny is the one of the top articles I was reading on Chinese media.
Yeah.
Was JD, which is like I don't know how would you
Tiandong?
say. Yeah,
like online shopping.
Online shopping, like Amazon.
Yeah.
It says JD says salt supplies are stable. like every time that you see something like that, you're like, okay, the opposite. Chinese media means the opposite.
Absolutely. I just love that this is a resort, by the way.
Yeah, that's a top resort.
Yeah, that was a 5-star like
very expensive
Hilton or something that we stayed in there. It was horrible, by the way. We made a video about it. It was terrible. The cracked walls and the buffet was terrible, and everything about it was bad. Like cheap, rubbish business hotels were way better.
Yeah, that's a sunny day, by the way.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, excuse the shaky zoom, but that's what you want to see when you wake up out of your hotel morning.
Right out the window.
Like, look at this wonderful view in front of me. It's a freaking nuclear power plant and pollution everywhere. You know what I mean?
I like what Soul Life said. They said... They're talking about the salt thing, but why is it happening again?
Yes, exactly.
because Japan is going to be doing a controlled release of the Fukushima disaster treated water.
Just if you want to know what's going on in the background, these are some of the Chinese nuclear power plants that are along the coast and sites. Yeah, and these are releasing their coolant water, which is also full of this tritium. Tritium is the problem. This is what.
Tritium's not that big of a deal, though.
It still is.
It's very low energy.
But it's not terrible, but it's still, that's what China's freaking out about.
Yeah, that's what China's freaking out about. That's why we're talking about it.
But all these Chinese nuclear power plants are releasing more. So,
I actually had some of that coming up here. I just wanted you guys to get a look at some of the sites here.
So, what do you want to take a look at over here? Annual tritium discharged in neighboring countries and regions?
So have a look at this. So in my studies, by the way, very disappointed with Chat GPT, which I never use, but I use it sometimes if Google's not working, so I'll pull it up. And I asked it about it, and they were like, I have no information about how much tritium China puts out. And I'm like, and it goes, you should check government body websites and stuff. I said, you check it. I got into this big argument with it.
With an AI.
I was getting really mad.
But did you ask it to check for other countries?
Of course it knows. But this is the problem. I shouldn't get mad at ChatGPT. It's because it turns out China only releases a little bit of data.
Yeah, here and there.
So in my research, what I found was about 3 or 4, depending on the year, data points from different nuclear plants are released, but there's 13 plants in China, right? So you don't get a whole picture of how much tritium's actually released, but you, just from the 4 that they do release, you can do some math and understand that it's vastly more than what's being released in Fukushima, which is what Chinese media is freaking out about.
Like I was sharing an article earlier on Twitter, ex-Twitter, okay? And in this article, it stated, and which is correct, 13 nuclear power plants in China in 2021. 13. each released more than the annual
Correct.
release from Fukushima.
Correct.
So you just take one of those 13 power plants, it's releasing a hell of a lot more than than Fukushima will release in an entire year.
That meme that was just meant to be a joke is correct. There are thousands of trillions of vectorals being released from China. So if we look at this, we have the Qingtian, in 2021, the Qingtian power plant, nuclear power plant, did 218 trillion, right?
Yes.
You have the Hongwushe.
That was in 1 year.
Yeah, that was in 1 year. That's 90. And then you have Ningla, which is 102. And then you have Yangjiang, which is in Guangdong, which is 112.
Just in 1 year, that one put out 218 trillion, okay?
Yes.
And Fukushima is going to put out 22 trillion in 1 year.
Yes.
That's a lot less. If anyone who knows math, they'll be able to see.
So China is spearheading this campaign to say Japan bad, rile up all these countries to divest from Japan.
Yeah, they're
put
saying,
stuff into
it's the
China.
end of the world.
It's the end of the world. They're telling their people that Japan's going to be the end of the Pacific
By the way,
region.
they've banned all aquatic products from Japan. So then you're not allowed to buy any seafood or anything from Japan. Well, maybe you should stop buying seafood from yourself. You're way worse. You know what I mean?
Yikes.
Way
if you're
worse.
concerned about this, we have some other things you guys pump in the water over there that we'll examine.
Yeah, we're gonna
That's
take
more
a look.
dangerous than these vectorals of
Yeah,
tritium.
exactly.
Anyway, to just sum it up here for this particular infographic, just 4 power plants are 500 something trillion vectorals.
Yeah.
Whereas
versus 22.
the 22 out of the one that they're making a big fuss about.
Yeah.
It's so hypocritical.
In 1 year from
Yeah.
China, yeah. It's pathetic, is what it is. And this is China, once again, using Japan as a diversion from its domestic problems. Because they're making such a huge... So you'll see, like, we're going to show you how this is affecting the local populace. Because you have to understand, the poor Chinese people, they have one news source and one news source only, and that's the Chinese government.
Yeah.
And they force feed this shit everywhere. In schools to children, it's force fed.
Yeah.
On the news, it's force fed. Everywhere you go, it's force fed. You cannot get away from it, you know? Here are a couple of other these basically the same thing, this graph.
Yeah,
you
this
can
is
take a look
just
at.
the Chinese ones versus the Fukushima.
Yeah.
You see 90, 143 plus 102 plus 112. Compare that to 22 out of the plant that they're making such a big fuss about.
Yeah.
It's so crazy to see respected journalists in China going and making a huge fuss and doing op-eds for Western platforms as well about how bad and irresponsible this is for Japan, who did the right thing, interfaced and invited the international
They
bodies
were like,
to deal
listen,
with this.
we had this disaster, this absolute disaster, which, by the way, ever since that disaster, it's helped, believe it or not. But, Japan's used to tsunamis. They're used to these kind of natural disasters, earthquakes, tsunamis, right? And so they actually had a system in place to prevent something going wrong, which they shut everything down. They got everything correct and ready just before the tsunami hit. But there was one lack of foresight, and that was that the generators that are supposed to, be backup to keep the coolant water flowing, in case this whole system happens, they were underground and they got flooded. So the generators didn't work. And now because of that, other nuclear power plants around the world have now changed the way that they have their backup generators stored and things like that, and the way that the water can keep flowing. So it's actually helped prevent future disasters.
Yeah, I read a ton of articles about how this is not that big of a deal, by the way. It's not like another side of the coin. It's not that big of a deal what Japan's done.
Sure, look, the thing is what Japan's doing right now is the best that they can do given the circumstances.
Correct.
There was a disaster, and they've done the correct thing, which has involved the entire world in helping to monitor and make sure that what's going to be released is the safest it can be. Still not ideal, but it's still safer than what China's doing. Let's take a look here.
Move on. Let's look at some of the aftermath. That's enough about like the whole disaster and figures.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so easy to prove that this hoo-ha nonsense that the Chinese government is doing, pointing fingers at Japan, is BS, because they themselves are releasing way worse of the same thing. It's not like it's a different kind of contamination. No. It's not like it's look, they're putting toxic sludge. No, it's like they're releasing tritium in this amount. Well, guess what? We do it too, but way worse. But don't tell anyone, especially not our own populace.
That's a good way to sum that up.
Yeah.
But we want enough of these maps. This is enough.
Yeah, I know. I don't like maps. You're the one who likes
I like maps. It's just we've exhausted this.
Just one more shot of
shots of this.
Yeah, I mean, you're sitting there having your sunset cocktail, and that's,
yeah, it's true.
That's what you get to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So China put out its attack dogs.
As usual.
The people running and saying Japan bad. Look at how bad Japan is. Like, we good.
Yeah.
This is Li Jingjing, which is a propagandist for the Chinese government. Works for CGTN. Says Japan decided to dump its radioactive nuclear contaminated water into the Pacific Ocean for the next 30 to 40 years, and then she freaks out. And she's getting more like,
Japan is going to poison the whole world.
She's really appealing to that kind of like alt scene, trying to get people on both the alt left and alt right to get all riled up about stuff. Just a disinfo. She's literally a disinfo. Bot more or less. Working for propaganda. Anyway, the point about this is that they released all this stuff like a torrent, and it's all over the internet right now. It's political cartoons, which are never funny, by the way.
No, China doesn't have a good cartoon game.
No.
You know?
I mean, that's so lame.
Yep.
Like, even if it's not funny.
No, it's not. Yeah. Anyway, it's an attempt.
Is it?
It's an attempt.
But this is interesting. This editorial from China Daily. It says, Japan is making a short-sighted and selfish decision that the world is expected to pay the price for, while you guys are releasing probably 10 times the amount.
More than 10 times.
From one.
Yeah, exactly.
One plant.
Yeah.
I just thought their cartoon was so ironic because this clip that you sent me just had come out. This is in Shandong province.
Yeah.
And it's black raw sewage being poured into the ocean.
So this is just a normal citizen. She's like walking on the beach and she's like, what the hell is this? It's low tide and this is usually hidden.
Yes.
Okay. And you know what? The pipe broke.
Yes.
And that's why you can see this oily, disgusting, untreated discharge. This is in Dalian.
Yeah.
Different province, right?
Lining, yeah.
So this is also on the beach, like a black discharge.
Swimming.
Yeah. If you take a look, this discharge just being pumped into the sea. But the interesting thing I found about the one in Shandong, the one on the left here, is that you see the pipe broke.
Yeah.
And that gave it away because usually you can see the pipe goes all the way out there. You can see it goes all the way out into the sea and it's usually submerged. So they can pump it there without anyone noticing. It broke on the beach though, unfortunately.
Now everyone sees it.
Now people can see. Yeah, so, China's pretty bad when it comes to pumping garbage into the ocean.
Oh my gosh, the amount of litter and pollution everywhere, the amount of raw sewage, chemicals.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even want to know.
Yeah, so just
I can't believe we swam in those waters.
Yeah, we did though.
We did.
Yeah.
I think I'm growing limbs.
Sure. That's life, man. Like you don't get to...
Oh, one time I was in Inner Mongolia in Baotou, outside the steel plant area.
Yeah.
They were pumping like these pipes. I can't even make my arms that big. The pipes were just like, you could fit like 20 people in the mouth of them.
Yeah.
And they were pumping this black, horrific sludge that smelled like the end of Satan's asshole.
Okay.
Like sulfur and fire. And it was being just pumped into this lake. Like the most amount you've ever seen. And it wasn't a tourist part of the lake.
Yeah.
But the other side was.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is it? It was steel runoff.
Yeah, of course.
That's going into the water. It's killing people.
Well, I mean, you saw from our own footage.
Yeah.
They got that nuclear power plant right there, right across from the resort where people are supposed to be chilling out.
Sure.
It's surely not healthy.
Yeah. Nuclear is a different thing. But
I know, but
when it's raw pollution.
Yeah, the raw pollution's awful. But there's still you saw the air quality.
Yeah, it's not related to that, obviously. That's just those factories there.
Yeah, all the stuff's being pumped, the tritium's being pumped into the bay there.
Yeah, right there,
so,
for sure.
If it's really that much of a concern. Anyway, of course, you got people...
Yeah, if they're worried about it.
Yeah, you got people jumping in here to take advantage of the situation, right? So...
Oh, man, this is gross.
Yeah, so the night of the Fukushima nuclear discharge, people took advantage of the panic to sell seafood while crying.
These are live streams. In China, you have to understand the stream culture. They sell products over live streams.
Yeah.
And these people are going like, I've been working my whole life and you guys will never be able to buy seafood again because everything's over.
Yeah, so buy this fresh Japanese caught, seafood before it gets contaminated.
Or, from this area.
Yeah.
They're fishermen that caught it, the Chinese fishermen. And they're like, freaking out. They're like, oh my gosh, you're never going to be able to buy the seafood again. You'll never taste seafood again.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're trying to jack up the prices and sell their whole stock right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Super slimy.
One thing that's kind of funny is I was seeing somebody was making a joke because the seafood restaurant downstairs from them has always said that they've got fresh fish from Japan, but they finally admitted that they don't because they're like none of our seafood comes from Japan.
Ever been from Japan?
No, it's always Chinese, local seafood or caught somewhere else.
Oh, it's such scams.
It is. I thought I'd throw in a little more of this.
I mean, everyone's scamming with this, and again, I don't even blame the people though because they have no media source. It's a authoritarian state.
You just get one source of information. And like rumors.
It leaves room for rumors.
Yeah.
Because there's not alternative opinions.
Exactly.
They're just buying the shit out of this.
Now this is where it gets ridiculous. Okay, I'll get us out of here. You can narrate.
Okay.
把地图都
Cut
剪了，
Japan out of the map.
日本从世界上消
Japan
失
has，vanished from this world.
把地图都剪掉了。
Cut Japan out of the map.
哎呀，可把我孩子
Messed
气
up.
坏
It
了。
messed up my kid. So this kid is freaking out.
Yeah, the kid's crying because of this whole Fukushima nuclear thing.
Because they're blasting it all over the media. Like,
Yeah.
it's doomsday stuff. The CCP loved it, but they went too far with it.
Oh, they go too far. Like I said, like the school, the teachers
Yeah.
are going to be telling the kids.
Yeah.
The parents are telling the kids. Japan's so irresponsible and ruining the.
You're telling
the
a
Earth.
kid that the world's over because of Japan.
Yeah. Oh, Japan is releasing this nuclear stuff's going to kill us all or
Yeah.
whatever. This is the result. It's
Yeah.
it's irresponsible. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
要哭了，好了。
I not like a lot of people in the chat seem very
把
shocked
地图都
at
剪
this.
了。
Like how that this
日
would
本
go
从
this
世界
far.
上消失，
This is par for the course
把
in
地图都
China.
剪掉
Yeah.
了。
Nationalism's wild, dude.
哎
They
呀，可
poison
把
the
我孩
kids'
子气
brains.
坏了。
I absolutely hate it.
It's so bad. I once had a kid take it out. It's the exact same map. And he
Okay.
went and he circled the whole world and he goes, all of this is China's. I was like, you ruined the map, dude, with a marker.
That nationalism garbage has really ruined a lot of innocent kids. Like I couldn't stand it because I used to teach kids at some point.
Yeah.
And the absolute horrible things that they would say and that they would be taught, it just pissed me off.
You don't blame the kids either.
No,
like
it's
that
not
kid
their
that's
fault.
crying, you don't call him a clown. That's the clown parents.
Yeah, it's clown.
It's a little
clown-
kid.
It's clown world. It's clown
Yeah.
China trying to force kids to cry because of something that China does worse.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's so
It's
dumb.
insane.
And like this,
We with one plant out of 13 released more than the Fukushima, and then all of them together is probably like 100 times that. But guess what? Japan just ruined China and the whole world, and you're gonna die to an 8-year-old kid.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And this person looks like they sprayed themselves with pepper spray and mace. You know what I mean? Doesn't it? Does it look like that?
They do.
Yeah. They're like,
But this is all over. The people are streaming. They're
Yeah.
bursting into tears because they heard about it. Because China told them again.
yeah.
I'm not gonna have as much sympathy for the adults because they like have a choice to get on a VPN and see the truth.
Yes.
I know they won't, but like the kids, I mean, they're innocent.
Yeah.
You know, they're being brainwashed,
Exactly.
and that's the next generation coming on up doing the same thing.
This again is their frustration because the thing is building up to the release of this nuclear water thing. The Chinese government has been relentlessly releasing like propaganda about Japan should not do this. Japan
Yep.
will face repercussions.
it's
all this.
wild.
So the thing is, the Chinese people are now once again foolishly putting stock in what their government's saying.
After
So-
they've been betrayed how many times?
Yeah,
now?
I mean, like remember last time with the whole Taiwan thing when
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi landed?
Yeah, they're like, that's it.
Yeah,
They said that's
China
it.
was like, if they cross that final red line, it's over. You know,
If Nancy Pelosi touches down, remember the people on the, and they're like, our government will go to war with Taiwan.
so Nancy Pelosi touches down, nothing happens. Everyone's crying and breaking their tables. Remember all that shit?
Yeah.
They're all like sitting there.
I made
like,
a video about that.
Yeah, it's hilarious. And this is again the same thing, right? Like.
Yeah.
It shows how impotent the Chinese government is, and this is
Yeah.
pent up frustration.
It is.
They cannot understand.
That's what it is, manifesting.
Yeah, they cannot understand how this has happened after their government has been blustering and chest pumping all this bullshit all the time about how Japan will taste our wrath or whatever.
There's a lot of salt in those tears. Just probably sell it.
Yeah, collect it. Yeah. Anyway, don't spray yourself with pepper spray.
Yeah.
It literally looks like that.
It looks
okay?
like she got maced
Yeah.
and is drunk.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so a lot of this stuff is going around about people crying.
Crimea nuclear waste plant wastewater.
Anyway, it's too late, okay, because it's already started, so it's done. But the Chinese government's still putting things out like, if Japan doesn't cancel this, blah, blah, blah. What are you talking about? It's done, bro. It's done.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's terrible that China releases so much horrible wastewater.
You know what China reminds me of right now?
What?
Like a guy stuck on a Ferris wheel.
Oh, you mean like this?
Yes, because there's nothing you can do.
So anyway, NetEase, which is like a massive web portal, in China, they released a post on their Bilibili account, which got them suspended. And I suspect that somebody hacked their Bilibili.
You suspect?
Yes.
You suspect?
Because they put this out. It
amazing.
says, in view of the discharge of nuclear sewage from neighboring countries, I think we should prepare early, such as don't marry and have children.
Okay. Can I preface this?
Yeah, exactly.
This is everything that Winston's about to read is all the government stuff that they're making people do right now.
Yes,
by
exactly.
law.
Don't pollute the next generation of the motherland. 2, save more and spend less in case of accidents. Don't buy a house or car. People may not live that long.
Tank the economy.
Exactly.
Tank the birth rate.
Try to lie flat at home. Don't go out and run around. Don't go to work and leave it open. Yeah.
This is the nightmare of the Chinese government, and somebody hacked the official account and put
NetEase and put
it's
this
the
in there.
opposite mandates of the CCP right now. It's pretty amazing.
So obviously they got suspended and all this got erased and scrubbed, but it's just funny to see.
No, it's not projection. They're being sarcastic.
Yeah.
This is like a protest of the government.
Yeah, somebody hacked it and put this in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very
hack,
interesting.
for sure.
Yeah.
This man is very curious, and he's on a subway, and it's hard to sit through.
It's just cringe. It's cringe. It's not horrible. It's just cringe.
You want him to like stop though. Maybe a quick peek. You want him to stop though.
You asked for it, you get it.
I love that there's an open seat next to him.
Oh, there's 2 open seats next to him. So she's
He's like leaned in.
look at how deliberate
He moved in.
and he's like looking. This guy is so annoying, dude.
What a hamju-sao.
Yeah, exactly.
Chinese Benjamin Butt. He really does look like he's growing backwards.
Yeah.
Micro croc. He's a I said croc.